The brightening of the pink is the downdraft. That shows us that this cell is tightening. And if this is a tornado, it would look very similar to what we're seeing here. Very intense outbound, very intense, well, somewhat intense inbound, not real intense, but there's certainly circulation there. County Road 77, County Road here 53, County Road 280, County Road 79. So near the intersection of County Road 79, and let's go just north of there because that's where it's going. Let's see, what was that road? It popped up there briefly. Give me that road. Give me that road. What is it right here? Wow, come on. What is that, 50? 60? What does it say? 60. County Road 60. So County Road 60 and County Road 79. So there's 60, there's 79. That's where that is going up to this area. So again, once we get the next scan, that's pretty much where it's going to be, somewhere in that vicinity. County Road 60 and County Road 79. This is in Henry County, southeast Alabama, a strong area of rotation that has now prompted a new tornado warning. And now that warning is being plotted here on the Doppler radar scan. It's between Haleburg and Blakely. The general path will be up into this area. So again, we're going to watch this area of circulation move across the rest of Henry County and then into Early County. There's some good news. Looks like that inflow is being cut off. So this circulation, we'll see if if this is going to maintain a tornado or become an actual strong tornado. This inflow would have to increase because we've got very strong outflow. The center of that rotation area is right here. We're going to go back over to the correlation coefficient. No signs of any debris yet. And that's not a surprise because that circulation doesn't look quite strong enough. But there's certainly a hook showing up there with the reflectivity. That hook is between Haleburg and Freeman. Again, eastern, southeastern part here of Henry County, southeast Alabama on this Saturday afternoon. We'll go back over to the base velocity and we'll get a new scan to come in here briefly. Very strong outflow, very strong downdraft winds here, and those could be producing some damage. And then a pretty good pocket here of inbound, and then a larger pocket of inbound winds here moving on through really the western part of Early County. This is the river right here, so that's Early County, and then the far eastern part of Henry County. So this broad inflow will likely continue, very strong outflow, and even though this may not be a real strong pocket of rotation, there could be redevelopment of that center of rotation somewhere up into this vicinity. So between Haleburg and Freeman, basically from the eastern part here of Henry County and then into the western part of Early County, that's where you want to take shelter. You want to be someplace safe, away from exterior walls and windows, because this has the potential to spin up even more in the next, say, 5 to 10 minutes as that pocket of rotation moves from Henry County up there towards Early County. So it came together pretty good. Now it looks like that inflow is being cut off a little bit. So even though there's very strong outflow here, that pocket, see, that was very distinct inflow, and then it started getting choked off. So what happened here, what is happening, is this outflow is so strong that pink, the outflow, which is a cooler, more stable flow of air, that is going so far to the east, surging out here into Early County, that is kind of overtaking the inflow. So this is outflow, this is inflow, there's your circulation, but now it's becoming outflow dominated, so this circulation, it can't survive, all right, because its source of life basically is being cut off. So this circulation will weaken. If it redevelops, we're going to watch where this outflow is surging out and where there's still good inflow, which is right in through here. So this will likely weaken, but we watch the outflow here and the inflow for new rotation to perhaps develop somewhere north of Freeman. That's the way I see it as I analyze this base velocity image here. Very good balance at this point. You didn't have any choking off of anything. But at that point, once that rear flank downdraft became so powerful, it choked off the inflow. Now what we're seeing here with every scan that follows is that green is going away. You see that? It's pretty. There's the center of that circulation. That could still be a real brief tornado, or at least some swirling winds. I'm not seeing any debris though on radar. But I'll go back here to storm relative. That's the remnant circulation. So we're not going to disregard that. But what we're going to watch for is this outflow now teaming up with the better inflow and reforming some kind of circulation between basically Haleburg and Blakely. I'm thinking if this happens again, as this one weakens, it will be somewhere probably in the far western part of Early County, because again, you're looking for the balance between the outflow and the inflow. And if you watch me cover severe weather, you'll hear me say S, S, S. Why do I say S? Because we look for pockets of rotation, and we look for the letter S as we look at the delineation between the inbound and the outbound winds. Outbound here, inbound here, where that center part of the S is typically where the rotation will form. Case in point, I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to go back a little bit. When I pointed out this S shape earlier, when it was coming together, it was right here. Remember me saying that? And it was at the center of that S that we got that rotation to tighten that prompted that tornado warning. Getting choked off at this point, we're going to see if this inflow and this outflow will team up again. But short term, the pocket of rotation is still pretty significant, although it is weakening. It's if I'm living in this area, southeast of Haleburg, west of Freeman, this is the pocket. I'm still someplace safe. I'm surrounded by rain, nothing but heavy rainfall in that area, and you've got definitely some rotation still showing up there. It's right here. Notice the green has pretty much gone away. So that rotation, if it's still alive, it's being choked to death, basically, at this hour. That is Highway 95. So just now to the east of 95, just west of Freeman, that is in Henry County. As we go farther northward here, since the environment is not as favorable for tornadoes, the odds of a tornado like we saw in Holmes County, very, very slim. The odds of a brief spin up like that are higher. So this is a quick hitter, right? I mean, it's on the ground for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, if that, and then it lifts back up and pretty much goes away. If it formed a tornado at all. We don't have any signs of any debris on the debris tracker, and that's some good news. But sometimes you can have, you've seen videos, maybe you have online in the past month, of basically little swirls of wind, and they never produce an actual debris signature on radar because that circulation is smaller than the size of this studio, and it might just hit one barn, throw up some sheet metal and some branches, and that will never show up on Doppler radar. So just because we're not seeing debris on the debris tracker doesn't mean that we're not seeing a brief spin-up tornado. But that pocket of rotation has pretty much gone away. I'll go back over to storm relative velocity and then switch over to base, and there's really now not much indication. You can kind of see where that was. That's the remnant spin, center of the spin that prompted that tornado warning. But that area of rotation has been choked off. Now it's become totally outflow dominated again. So there is no tornado potential with what was happening in that part of Henry County. But good outflow, again, very good outflow will enhance the inflow and can develop a new pocket of rotation. So as this area dies, the new area may come to life somewhere in the western part of Early County, west of the city of Blakely, east of Haleburg. It's basically over the river right now, over the Chattahoochee. It's right in here if we were to see some redevelopment. There's the old circulation. There's still some hint of it, but it's all kind of falling apart at this point. Very good outflow coming on through Freeman. So what you're going to see with that is you're going to see a very gusty, basically west wind kick in. Notice here, did you see that? Who noticed? Did y'all notice? Zach Ryan? I'm going to quiz y'all. Look at a little brightening. You see that? From that scan to that scan, just a little brightening of the green, and that indicates the inflow is increasing, all right? So the outflow is very strong. We can see that with the pink. The inflow is increasing. Inbound, outbound, S shape, you see it? Redevelopment will likely be somewhere right in here. If this were to try to spin up again, it's going to be somewhere in this vicinity, north of Freeman, off to the west of Blakely, east of Haleburg, right along and just east of the Chattahoochee, now into the far western part of Early County. So a very big area of rotation. Outflow dominated, killed that previous circulation, but this might come back to life. We're going to watch the new scan come in, and what we're going to watch for is brightening of the green here, because brightening of the green means stronger inflow, which would be able to team with this very strong outflow and maybe redevelop that circulation. So it looks like we had a quick hitter there. Maybe it produced a tornado, maybe it didn't. It certainly produced a funnel cloud that was reaching towards the ground. That circulation right there has pretty much been choked off, but that outflow, because it is so strong, might give birth to a new circulation somewhere here in the eastern part of Early County, and then that would carry up into Clay County, Georgia. It will stay off to the east of Henry County. And that's really the main concern. I know we're focused a lot here on reds and blues and pinks and greens. There's a lot of rainfall in other parts of the Wiregrass, but this is the main storm. This is the same storm that produced the rotation, the tornadoes, and all that heavy rainfall in the Panhandle. It's the same storm now that is potentially going to respin up somewhere into the eastern part there of Henry County, or more likely the western part, northwestern part of Early County. I went big view here just to make sure we're not missing anything farther southward. I know Zach and Ryan are here watching as well, but we're not seeing much. There's a little dangly area down here south of Ashford, and we'll go back over to the storm relative velocity with this, because there's just a little bit of a hint here of inbound and outbound. Storm relative here, so we're accounting for the motion of the storm, kind of the pure velocity in the atmosphere, inbound, outbound, and it corresponds to a little dangly feature right there. So I'm going to watch that. Man, I wish we had a camera in Gordon right now, because looking westward, you'd be able to see that. Ryan, I'm going to put that on you, all right? You monitor that on Max 1 and chime in if we see anything, because that one has some potential. There's a look at the base velocity, very good inflow, a little hint of outflow. I'm going to switch back over to reflect here. So that aligns, all right? So hey, heads up here along 84, east of Ashford, west of Gordon. That is a little dangly piece. It's in an environment that is very favorable, because it's wide open to the southeast, warm and humid air flowing in from the southeast. So what little shear we have in the atmosphere can be tapped by a cell like that, and it's being tapped farther northward by that cell now moving into the far western part, northwestern part of Early County. That is a very strong area of rotation, very good outflow, very good inflow showing up here. And because the outflow, look at that, the new scan came in. Did you see the brightening of the pinks? So the outflow is very, very strong here between Freeman and Haleburg. Very strong west winds, and that is all embedded in a bunch of rain. So you've got torrential rain here, and you've got these winds that are blowing probably at 40, 50 plus miles per hour. Let's go back over to the base velocity, and let's just plot some wind speeds here. Now we're a little elevated here, so these are probably not true ground level winds. These are winds at a couple thousand feet in the atmosphere, but you're looking at 50 plus miles per hour. And honestly, on a day like this, with a storm like this, you can see those winds aloft be transferred down to the ground and not lose any speed. I mean, what you see at 2,000 feet, 55 miles per hour, can be the same kind of wind that reaches down to the ground in a storm like this, because you've got the circulation, you've got this big, massive spinning wad of air in the sky, and that can easily transfer that wind speed from up above down to the ground. So damage, certainly a possibility, straight line wind damage around this broad area of circulation. There is a tornado warning in effect. What prompted that tornado warning has weakened, but what we're looking at here is probably the beginning stages of redevelopment of that circulation that might produce another tornado. I would not be surprised somewhere here. Come on, get off this. Come on. All right, there we go. Somewhere here over the far northwestern part of Early County. So there's Early County, that's Clay County up there. This is very good inbound, this is very good outbound. This is coming together. So this will likely, just looking at the way this is redeveloping, it's likely to reform a tornado here in Early County, north of Freeman, northwest of Blakely. We've seen brightening of these colors. We're going from green to almost blue now showing up. We've got very strong outbound winds here. We don't have that strong gate-to-gate shear, one green pixel versus one pink pixel, but that might happen. And again, if this is going to form, it'll likely be forming very quickly and then weakening very quickly. So we don't, I mean, if you're out there trying to watch this, or you're watching from somewhere in northwestern Early County, like, don't wait for me to say, hey, we've got this couplet showing up, because it might be happening right now, and the next radar scan that we see, we're going to see it. So if you live basically in this northwestern part of Early County, now's your time to get someplace safe. If you live up into Clay County, now's your time to get someplace safe. You're not going to see anything. If your instinct is to go outside, grab the phone, and try to film it, you're not going to see it because it's nothing but rain occurring in that part of the Wiregrass. Get inside, get someplace safe. That's the beauty of Doppler radar. And the velocity scan is we can see what the winds are doing in the atmosphere. So there's that area of rotation that prompted the tornado warning, got choked off by that outflow. New rotation developing, and there's the pinpoint right there, okay? Now with that new scan coming in, that's the area that's going to spin up. I'll tell you what, it's going to happen. What are the roads here? Grimsley Mill Road. This monitor, I look at it so small, it's hard to see. Was that North Old River? I've got a TV right here. So North Old River and then Grimsley Mill. So that's what we're looking at. There's Grimsley Mill right here. There's North Old River Road. So that's where that circulation is. I'm thinking with this next scan, you're going to probably see what would be a tornado on Doppler radar. So inbound winds here, outbound winds here. The gates are coming together, the rotation area is tightening, the arms are coming together into a small area of rotation, and it's going to be centered here just to the south of Grimsley Mill Road and then by North Old River Road. Again, in the middle of these scans, the storm is still moving, so it's not like it's stationary and stuck here. It is moving to the northeast, so that circulation area is crossing Grimsley Mill Road at this point, and this may very well be spinning down into another tornado. I'm not seeing that yet on the correlation coefficient, the debris tracker, but that's going to lag, all right? You're going to get debris, you get a tornado to form, get debris to get lofted up, and then it's got to be picked up by radar. So the tornado comes first, the debris comes second. So that's why we look at this so closely. We got a little contaminated scan, then I'm going to punch off that, punch back into it, and yeah, this is really close here. Very strong outbound winds. These are winds probably in excess of 50, maybe even 60 miles per hour over the far western part of Early County, northwestern part of Early County, and then very good inflow right here. So this, if it's not a tornado yet based on this velocity image, it is awfully close to spinning up into another tornado here in the northeastern part. I'm sorry, northwestern part of Early County. There's a big view. Also watching that cell southward, not seeing anything real worrisome with that cell at this point. Looks like that little hook that we were monitoring has gone away, but boy, that is a very significant rotating storm. It has really come together again over the past half hour, and as we go into the next half hour, the northern part of Early County and then into Clay County, we'll see that move on through. And just looking at how that circulation has gelled, it's really, really impressive, and not in a good way. I mean, you've got to be someplace safe here in the northwestern corner of Early County and then into Clay County. This storm is able to tap into the deeper moisture and energy. Now we're getting deeper into the day as well, so your CAPE, your convective available potential energy, is increasing a little bit, and that has full access to that moving in from the southeast. So one dangly area that we're watching, not the big concern. This is the big concern. This storm has a ton of rain, a ton of lightning, a little bit of hail showing up there. So maybe dime-sized hail over the eastern part of Henry County, and that rotation area that is strengthening and likely about to form a tornado. If I had to say yes or no, I'm going to say, yeah, there's probably a 60% chance that this spins back up into a tornado. Just given the fact that we've got very strong outflow, very strong inflow, a very distinct S shape showing up there. That S is very, very distinct there. And again, the center of that S shape is where that tornado will spin up. And that will be in the northwestern part of Early County, and then it will cross up into Clay County. It is now well east of Haleburg. The winds are coming down in Haleburg. But if you're watching from Shorterville, there is a ton of lightning showing up there. All those white dots are recent lightning strikes, and there have been a bunch of them moving on through the eastern part of Henry County. So Haleburg northward, a ton of lightning up towards Shorterville. This will move into Clay County. It is moving on through the northwestern part of Early County at this point. Blakely, you're on the edge of it. Just west of Blakely, it's a wall. If you look at the sky, it's going to be pitch black. There's a bunch of wind and a bunch of rain coming on through that part of Early County. And we're going to see if this does spin up with the next scan. We're going to wait for that new scan. We've got Ken Curtis on the phone again. Ken, I'm going to keep this radar view up as you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, David, and this actually I don't think has anything to do with the weather, but certainly something that we feel like we need to report this morning. We have been following for the last little while a bad wreck along US 84 near the Georgia line. We now can confirm there are multiple fatalities. Again, I don't think this is weather related because that crash, I think, happened before the weather got there this morning. But certainly some devastating news out of Houston County this morning. Multiple people dead in a collision involving what we're told is an SUV and a commercial-sized truck. Just wanted to get that information out there to the viewers.
Ken, do you know what time that occurred?
Yeah, that happened at US 84 near the Georgia line down in Gordon. County Road 95 intersects there just about a mile before you get to the Chattahoochee River. That is the scene. I think it's the eastbound lanes, but we definitely know we have a bad crash and multiple fatalities down there.
What's the time? Do you know what time that occurred? Approximately?
Yeah, it occurred probably about an hour ago, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So you may have some clarity I don't have as far as weather conditions at that time.
Okay, yeah, okay. Thank you, Ken. Let's go back here. That part of 84, we'll go back an hour here. So back over to Max 2, Pam. Go back, there's an hour ago. We had some showers around. We had a decent shower there at 12:52. That was half an hour ago. So, yeah, that was out ahead of that main line of storms. I'll tell you what, though, if you are traveling anywhere today, when you're in rain like this, the flooding, even on a road that drains well, the flooding can be significant and can occur very, very quickly with very little warning. I mean, you can go from wet pavement to all of a sudden a few inches of water, and that's how you hydroplane, lose control. So, I mean, hey, you shouldn't be on your phone to begin with in the vehicle, but make sure you are focused, hands on the wheel when you're driving in weather like this. All right, we're watching this tornado-warned cell. Again, not seeing any indication at this point of an actual tornado. What we're seeing here, very strong rotation. Outbound winds here in pink, inbound winds in green. A very strong area of rotation here, moving through the northwestern parts of Early County. This has the potential to spin back up into a tornado. If that were to occur, it would be somewhere either in far northwestern Early County or into Clay County if it occurs. And the parameters are in place for sure. I mean, we've got good outflow, good inflow, but again, it takes a lot to get a tornado, and we're not quite seeing that come together at this point. There's another cell up here. Now, that's getting kind of far away from our coverage area, but a lot of lightning strikes. And if we go back over to the base velocity, there's a little bit of a hint here of inflow and a little bit of a hint of outflow. That is off to the northwest of Bluffton here in Clay County. So that's another pocket of weak rotation. That's very strong rotation, very strong pink or bright pink showing up, very strong inflow and green showing up here. This is another pocket of rotation. Both of these are rotating as they move off to the northeast. We'll back this up a little bit here. The dominant area of rotation is right there through parts of Early County. And you know what? It might be this little pocket right here. If this were to spin up, it's going to be somewhere right in here. So there's Hudspeth Road, and there is, Highway 39. So 39 and Hudspeth Road, Fred D. Smith Lane right there, and that's Wiley Road. So in that vicinity, basically Wiley Road at this point, but about to move up there towards the 39 corridor. So this is the area of rotation, the center of that area of rotation. So the radar site now is basically due west of where we're looking. I'll back this out a little bit. There's a radar site in Echo. So these are pure west winds showing up here, west winds here. These are east winds here. So inbound towards the radar site, outbound towards the radar site. These outbound winds, that rear flank downdraft, these are winds in excess of 40, maybe even 50 miles per hour. So straight line wind damage, a possibility. And that's actually very common. Even if this were a tornado, you would still have straight line winds doing a lot of damage south of where that circulation is. A very common feature of a storm like this is to have a damaged path from an actual tornado, and then a damaged path of winds from straight line winds occurring south of the center of rotation. So that center of rotation here is crossing Highway 39. No confirmation yet that this is a tornado. No debris showing up, for example, on the debris tracker, but there is very strong rotation with this cell over the far northwestern corner of Early County, about to move up into Clay County. So there's the county line right here, Early County northward into Clay County. That circulation area, very, very strong, and it is certainly worth watching if you live anywhere north or northeast of this pocket that I'm showing you there. That includes really most of Clay County, the northwestern part of Early County, areas northwest of Blakely. By the way, Blakely, that wind is about to come into your area. The western part of the city already seeing it. This is that gust front coming on through. Very gusty west winds occurring and some heavy, heavy rainfall. Look at that. So the leading edge of that heavy rainfall moving into the west side and downtown Blakely right now, blinding rain. I mean, you're going to be, like we showed you earlier in Dothan, kind of like a whiteout, basically. You're not going to be able to see anything. That goes for you in Columbia. Haleburg, starting to see some improvement, but anywhere in the red here, there's some really, really strong wind coming on through. Let's go back over to the base velocity here. And we're watching that area of rotation. It has not tightened up yet anymore. I mean, it's a pretty tight area of rotation at this point. It has not tightened up to get that really strong pixel-to-pixel, gate-to-gate shear, which would indicate a slam-dunk tornado. But very strong winds moving on through Early County into the city of Blakely now. Very strong rotation northwest of the city of Blakely, moving up into Henry, or I should say Clay County, moving out of Henry County. You guys have been looking at reports. Do you have like a recap of the reports? We had Ken in here talking about the damage in Esto. What else have you guys seen?
Really, Esto has been the main thing that I have seen so far. I've actually been able to look up pictures through Facebook of some of the damage, and it definitely took down lots of trees, created roof damage as the storm made its way through, really blocked a lot of the roads off too. So the debris ball was definitely picking up on that as we continued watching that, as it made its way through Esto and made its way into Geneva County. That is the extent of the storm reports I've seen. Again, I've been checking with sources around town, trying to find pictures, maybe even through police departments and also sheriff county offices to see if there have been any reports through there. And no official reports that are coming in through the National Weather Service. Of course, it takes a little bit longer sometimes for those local storm reports to make their way to the office in Tallahassee. But the extent of what I've seen for the confirmed damage has definitely been through Esto. There has been even some images that have come through for parts of Holmes County. And actually, if I can pull up where some of those are located. So those were being reported along, I believe, County Road 79 and 2 in parts of Holmes County there. And according to this page here, no injuries reported at that time, but hopefully we can get some more definitive reports coming in, especially as these images are making their way through, to the extent of injuries. That could be a big concern for parts of Esto and for farther south into Holmes County as well. But David, I'm going to continue to watch that as well. As we continue to watch this last cell continuing to make its way to the northeast, again, this has been holding on to a lot of strength for quite a while.
Yeah, this storm, let me switch it back over here to Max too. This cell has been rotating for a long time, and I'm going to take you back here over the last couple hours because it hasn't weakened that much. I mean, it's weakened, but not that much. So there it was moving on through Holmes County. That same pocket of rotation is ongoing up there into Early County and Clay County. It was really tight for a period in Holmes County when it was producing that tornado. It weakened, broadened, and now it's kind of come back together, but it hasn't tightened up a ton, which is definitely some great news after being so strong there for quite a while. Here's a big view of the radar. So looking forward in time, again, the overall severe threat for today, for tonight, for tomorrow night is lower end. But as we have seen, even on a lower end day, a marginal risk kind of day, we can see some significant weather. And that's pretty much the outlook for today, for tonight, for tomorrow night, a marginal risk of some stronger storms, because this is somewhat acting like a tropical system, a good onshore flow, just enough shear in the atmosphere to produce some pockets of rotation and enough energy around, enough warmth, enough moisture to produce pockets of rotation and some pretty strong storms. That is by far the strongest storm. A ton of lightning with that storm moving into Clay County, about to move out of our coverage area probably in the next half hour or so. In the wake of that cell, looking southward, looking westward, there are some spotty showers out there, and these may redevelop here and there, but the main severe threat, at least for the short term, will be winding down. But your best course of action for this weekend is to have that first alert weather app handy. It will let you know if there's lightning nearby, if there's heavy rainfall nearby, if there are any warnings. You can watch the radar. You can watch our live stream on that app as well. That first alert weather app is really, really a good tool to have in your toolbox for sure. As we look at this cell, there is still very strong rotation with it, but it's not as well defined as it was earlier today. That said, there's still here a very good indication of a strong outbound wind here and a very strong inbound wind here. So that tornado potential is still rather high for the northern part, far northern part of Early County, and then up into the southern part of Clay County. This circulation area, it's changed here a little bit in the last, say, 10 minutes or so. The center of that circulation is right here. It may be undergoing that same thing that we saw before, where the outflow becomes so strong that it kind of chokes off. As that tries to spin up right here, the outflow kind of overtakes that rotation area. So what we're left with is where the rotation wants to be right here, but now this outflow is maybe choking off this pocket of rotation, which goes to show you that the conditions are just not ideal for tornadoes the farther north and northeast we go. Even though this is a very powerful cell with a very big area of rotation and a ton of lightning, the parameters to produce tornadoes are not quite fully in place. And that is some great news, because we don't want any more tornadoes at all. But this pocket of rotation is still worth watching here. We've been flipping over to the correlation coefficient, which would show us debris in the atmosphere. And we're not seeing any debris in the atmosphere from this cell. Even though there's been a lot of rotation with it, it looks like it's been kind of broad rotation. And when you see a setup like this on the velocity scan, it kind of shows you that the outflow, again, is overtaking the inflow and choking off that main pocket of rotation that we have seen. So over the next couple scans that come in, we're going to see this green area likely fill and turn pink as the inflow is choked off and the outflow takes over and kind of erases this pocket of weak rotation in the atmosphere, which means the new pockets of rotation that form would be somewhere up here into Clay County, and that is getting up and out of our coverage area. But if you know anyone up in that area, I mean, give them a heads up. Make sure that they are aware of this cell in Early County that's moving up there to areas west of Bluffton in the next really 5-10 minutes or so. The new pocket of rotation, if it were to form, would be somewhere in this area moving up into Clay County. Now, the inflow is not as strong as it was, which tells me that the overall circulation is going to weaken here a little bit. You see how you got a lot of brightening here, and now that green inflow has kind of gone away. So it's weakening. The inflow is weakening. There's still a very strong pocket of rotation, and this is being choked. It's still spinning, but it's being choked off by the outflow. But this center of rotation is still very much in place at this point. Not seeing any signs of debris, but we're seeing still a very strong pocket of rotation. Very strong winds here. There's Clark Road. First, I'm going to say that wrong. How would you guys say it? Kalamoki?
Yeah, Kalamoki.
Kalamoki? Yeah, so that's one pocket of rotation that is weakening, but that's where the winds are generally here in the northwestern corner, the far northwestern corner of Early County, and about to move up into Clay County. So this part, now we're basically just northwest of Blakely. That's where the strongest winds are. The damaging straight line wind threat is right on through here, the northern part, really the entire northern part of Early County, seeing that threat for some hail. There's Highway 39 and 27 right here. So there's 39, there's 27, kind of between those two roadways. The northern part there of Early County is where we have the strongest winds occurring at this point. Behind that circulation, we're seeing some rain, but guys, looking a whole lot better than it was this morning. And I was watching it from afar early on. You both were here watching it. Zach, what are you seeing? Are you still mic'd up? No, okay. Ryan, what are you seeing now compared to what you were seeing earlier?
Yeah, so now it's, like you were saying, a lot of that storm is being choked off due to some of that outflow, which is good because this has been moving into a more stable environment. So it has been trying to hold on to that rotation, but a lot broader than what we saw in the Florida Panhandle. So as I was watching this, as it made its way through parts of Walton County and continued to meander a little bit more to the east and then north and then east, it really wanted to hold on to that rotation. And anytime that it lost the rotation, it developed very quickly. And so this has been a very interesting storm. And really what I'm pretty used to is watching multiple cells that can do brief spin-ups. But this was one cell that was able to pack a lot of strength and continue making its way farther to the north, and it's been putting out more of those ingoing and outgoing winds that we look for rotation. And so, yeah, this has just been definitely the storm to watch throughout the morning and into the early afternoon hours. But kind of going into what's going on behind this storm, not really seeing much in terms of really significant storms out there. There are still some thunderstorms active making their way into parts of Houston County. But again, they've been kind of revving up, but not really showing much in terms of rotation available with these storms as they're making their way towards Alabama. But again, throughout the day, we'll likely still be seeing showers and thunderstorms continuing to develop, especially as we have that onshore flow and that low pressure system continues to hover just to the west of us. So even though we have the storm making its way through, there could still be a couple more storms later on this afternoon. Hopefully the shear and the dynamics for tornado development continue to go down in that time. And that rotation I was watching for Ashford over the past 30 minutes, again, really didn't develop into anything, remained very broad as it made its way farther to the north. Again, it was a good hook to continue watching as we were still monitoring that storm making its way through Georgia now. But yeah, really most of Houston County now just seeing more of the scattered showers and thunderstorms. Taking a look at some of those winds, I measured some of these winds just a little bit ago, and really for most people you can see wind gusts around, likely at the surface, 25 to 30 miles per hour. And so wind gusts can still be something you look to also within these storms throughout the day. You know, we still have some of that sunshine mixing in that can help with instability at times and help for some of these storms to build a little bit taller to allow for some hail development, but really haven't seen much in terms of really big hail that has been able to form with these storms. But yeah, so I would say as we're watching this cell making its way out, luckily we're going to continue to see rain falling behind for the next couple days, which we need. Really watch out for the threat of flooding. But yeah, it's been interesting to watch this cell as it's made its way through much of our area, David.
Yeah, this cell has been the dominant cell for sure. From when it came ashore, it was rotating to now it is still rotating. That pocket of rotation right here across the far northern part of Early County, north of Blakely. Very strong west winds here. So this pocket in pink, these winds are in excess of 50 miles per hour more than likely, and there's still some circulation there. So there's probably at least some lowering of the clouds, not a tornado the way it looks right now, but certainly some remnant circulation. Now the outflow is overtaking that, so that should weaken this. But again, it was spinning so fast that it will take a while to slow down and completely lose that spin. But I'm going to show you here what has happened over the past hour. I'm going to take you back a little bit because we were talking about the outflow kind of killing that circulation before. So when this was coming together into Early County right here, we had the outflow surge out. So there was a pocket of rotation, and it just went away. And then the new one formed right along that center of the S shape, and there it is. And now this one's going to weaken because the outflow again has overtaken that circulation. So any new formation of the center of spin would be somewhere around Bluffton or off to the northeast, and that would be up into our sister stations coverage area up there in Albany. So that's some good news. That pocket of rotation is weakening because the outflow is choking it off, and you can really, it's just fascinating just from a radar analysis standpoint. That's my favorite part of the job, honestly, is just analyzing severe weather. Inbound, outbound, center of that S shape, the circulation tightens, there it is, and now the outflow races out ahead of it, chokes off that circulation, and in the scans that come up, you're going to see this completely go away, and it'll just be red. It'll all just be outflow dominated, and now you look again. Inflow up here, outflow here, new circulation, that one dies, a new one is being born somewhere up here by Bluffton, or actually probably when it actually forms, again, it'll be somewhere probably northeast of Bluffton, but that's some good news. So the severe threat for our area is winding down, at least for now. The worst weather is getting out of our coverage area. Still some heavy rainfall, Clay County into the northern part there of Early County, and some gusty winds for the northern part of Early County. But as we analyze the winds across the rest of the area, I'm not seeing any severe weather, notable severe weather winds anywhere. I mean, the core of the worst wind is just north of Blakely, moving across the northern part of Early County and about to get out of there. These storms are not producing any damaging winds. We can look at these storms from different angles too. And if we use the far away Eglin radar, look up here into Houston County, no winds are showing up that are severe. So yeah, we've got some warnings lingering here, but I'll tell you what, this is not just because there are still some warnings here and there. That's old, basically. We're not seeing any severe winds or any hail from any of these storms that are moving out through Houston County or into Early County, the southern part of Early County. The worst weather is the northern part of Early County into Clay County, and there is some hail, like we've seen the entire time with this cell, where we see the darker red showing up here. A lot of lightning strikes moving up and out of Early County, some heavy rainfall along 27 just to the north of the city of Blakely, and then southward some heavy rainfall. Blakely about to get really, really wet, but the winds down here are not that bad. So you're not going to notice much wind with that rain. You're going to notice just a bunch of heavy rainfall, just a thunderstorm coming on through. The wind's not bad. And the good news is north here of Blakely, the wind speeds have come down. Those winds were likely over 50 miles per hour for a period, but that little core of wind is weakening. It's not gone yet, but it is weakening. What's almost gone is that pocket of rotation that formed right there. That has been choked off. You see how that was filling? I said that would fill and turn red. So watch that, kind of just fill. It's like a couple pixels of gray left. Next scan, that'll be gone altogether. So we watch for perhaps new rotation up here, Bluffton, and then, I mean, that's up and out of our coverage area here at News 4. But some gusty winds lingering, and that's really about the only reason we're staying on the air at this point is this little pocket here of some strong winds north of Blakely, the northern part of Early County. That will be moving off to the east and out of Early County and out of our coverage area, and we'll go back to a regular program. In fact, every scan that comes in, you can see the winds are weaker and weaker with that cell as that pocket of rotation is weakening a little bit. It has been on the map for a long, long time for sure, coming on through Houston County, coming on through Henry County, into Early County, and just notice here over the past, this is a 1 hour animation, but notice over the past, say, 20 minutes, there's been a really distinct weakening of that, that circulation overall. It's still circulating. I don't want to say it's gone, but the strong winds in that circulation have really, really come down. And this will likely, I'll be honest, this will likely circulate all the way up there into maybe central Georgia. Again, when a storm is that big and has that much momentum with it, it just takes a long time to wind down. And if it's in that wind down period, then that's some great news. But it might hit some more unstable air up to the northeast of us and keep going. So that'll be concerns for areas in central Georgia as we go through time. But in our immediate area, that cell is departing our coverage area. The rest of the wiregrass is looking pretty quiet as far as severe weather chances. These are some showers, some thunderstorms. The worst weather is now moving out of our coverage area, winding down for us. For now, we'll keep watching these as we go through the rest of today. There's a look at the latest velocity scan there, and looks a whole lot better for the northern part of Early County. Before we get off the air here, Ryan, final words from you?
Yeah, so I was actually taking a look at the one benefit out of a morning like this, if we could switch over to Max 1, is showing off, and actually maybe it's just not showing up for me right now, but the one thing I was taking a look at is estimated rainfall totals with the rain that has been making its way through. And the good part about that is a lot of our counties that have been really missing out on the rain for the past few days now getting some pretty good rainfall amounts. And here we go. I can actually show you some of the rainfall totals. Again, this is Doppler estimated rainfall totals, so this is kind of based on the amount of base reflectivity that's made its way back to the radar. But I'll plot some of these estimated rainfall totals, especially through Geneva County. This is kind of the path of that tornadic cell that was able to make its way through much of our area and kind of follows that line through Dothan into Henry County. Where we really saw really good returns on some of that base reflectivity, maybe some estimated rainfall totals for some areas around 2 inches or above, between 1 to 2 inches, especially where you see areas of that purple into the blue areas, maybe around 1 inch, and then kind of in surrounding areas, still below ½ an inch. But any of this rain that we can get is very good, especially with much of southeast Alabama into West Georgia being so dry over the past year since August, and also recently because of how much rain we are really lacking, or we did lack throughout much of April. So if there's one thing, even though it's been a busy morning, watching out for this cell as it's been able to kind of have tornadic characteristics as it's made its way through, and again, it created some damage for parts of Esto, Florida into Holmes County as well. The good thing is like the more that we can get these showers and thunderstorms and have this soaking rain, the better, especially for our environment. So that is one bright side to take out from this. And of course, we'll still have showers and thunderstorms continuing throughout the rest of the day into tomorrow and probably the early parts of Monday. So it's good to remain weather aware throughout that time, David.
All right, good advice, Ryan, for sure. Zach is with me one more time here before we get off the air, watching this cell kind of wind down. I want to show you the winds real quick here because the winds have come down in a big way. This cell was so strong for so long. Your take on watching this come together this morning and now kind of wind down and move out of our area?
Yeah, a really busy morning for us. It started out with a couple of tornado warnings out across Walton County, and then the second of those is what we're still watching right now, move out of our region across parts of Clay and Early County. A few different tornadoes. Looks like we may have had a fairly decent one over in the northern portions of Holmes County that went right in between, what was it, Esto and
Noma.
A really, really big, well-defined lowering in the debris wall.
It pulsed twice. You said earlier, it pulsed in Holmes County, kind of faded, and then pulsed again in that area.
Yeah, and then that, as we mentioned earlier, that's the same rotation that's now continuing up through portions of Clay and Early County now. Fortunately, that's starting to move out of our area. We definitely need the rain. We need every single bit of this rain that we can possibly get. We would love to have this rain without all of the severe weather that we've experienced today.
You know, and a lot of what we're going to see this weekend will be a lot of rainfall and not this severe weather aspect to it. I think what we saw this morning was certainly rare. I mean, we were talking about a low-end threat for some strong storms, a low-end threat, not zero threat for tornadoes. But, I mean, I would forecast this 100 times, and, you know, I'm not going to say there's going to be a tornado like that in Holmes County. Just the parameters didn't look that favorable.
Well, I made mentions on Friday morning, a very low-end tornado threat, and I thought it would mostly be along the Gulf Coast, because when you're out over the open waters of the Gulf, there's a lot less friction with the wind, so it's very easy for water spouts to spin up, or I mean, they're considered water spouts, but you actually have rotation, so it's a tornado over water. But once it moves over land, that friction increases, and those fade away pretty quickly. And to start off the morning, the rotation would make it to Interstate 10, and then that'd be about the end of it. And then we finally got those storms over into Walton County. You had some that actually stuck around for longer than that north of Interstate 10. I did like your kind of analogy of that, how this played out very, very similar to what we would see out of a tornado threat from a tropical system.
Very similar.
I mean, tropical system is an area of low pressure all the same way, and usually on that eastern edge of those areas of low pressure or areas of tropical systems, you can get some quick spin-ups and some tornadoes like what we saw this morning.
You know, back in the day when pitchers would bat in baseball, like every once in a while, a pitcher would connect and hit a home run. I mean, it was very, very rare. That was kind of what happened today. It's like, pitcher's up to bat. It's probably an easy out. But, a low-end chance of something happening, and it sure enough happened. We'll keep watching these other cells as we go through today, some of the cells down to the south there, just as we wrap this up, not seeing any other signs of rotation, the strong winds from that big cluster of storms moving out of our area. But just be weather aware for the rest of today, for tonight, for tomorrow as well. We'll keep you posted. Have that First Alert weather app handy. And hey, next time it gets bad, we'll be here. But hey, good job this morning.
Thank you.
We'll get back to programming for now and just stay weather aware as we go through the weekend.